As the founding dean, and now my second decade as chairman of Urban Success University, I want to talk to you about what we're doing in the 2026 to 27 school year with the official launch of thekingdommarketplace.com, the digital resurrection of Progress Plaza. Listen, I did not suddenly become the dean of Urban Success University because artificial intelligence became popular. I've been functioning as the dean through our entire institutional journey. I asked our founding mothers and our founder, the Yolkmeister, what do I do as a dean? They told me that a dean assesses what the students have been called to become, determines what they need to learn, and then creates an educational environment that they need to prepare them. That's been my assignment for the past 24 years. That's what our mothers and the Yolkmeister positioned me to do. That's the responsibility that was entrusted to me to continue. And that's what Urban Success University is prepared to demonstrate through the Kingdom Marketplace during the upcoming 2026 and 27 school year. Urban Success University was never intended to operate like a traditional university, one that begins by asking young people whether they have completed enough prerequisites to deserve an opportunity. Our model comes from my spiritual mama, amazing Grace Banks Sullivan, and her education vision. Her original mini university philosophy didn't begin with what school did you attend? What degree do you possess? What side of town are you from? And do you have the right preparation? Does your family got some money? Did the institution already validate you? No. Those are not the introduction questions to this educational experience. Mama Grace, amazing Grace. She began with a more sacred question. What does this young person need to understand in order to fulfill the purpose and assignment, the promise that God has placed on their life? Then she sought to provide that. Used to have us A, B, C, one, two, three. Look, Mama Grace, I'm being everything God created me to be. That's the spirit and educational foundation of Mini University. And so in 1994, that Mini University model was entrusted to Edith Scott Bagley, Cynthia Dolores Nodis Tucker, and the Yolkmeister, y'all call her Yoki, Yolanda Denise King. Just as the earlier economic model had traveled from one generation of the movement leader to another, y'all remember, in the 1960s, it was Sully, Reverend Dr. Leon Howard Sullivan's Select Patronage Movement that demonstrated how the black church could organize their collective purchasing power to demand employment and entrepreneurial economic opportunity. It was ML, affectionately, respectfully, Yolkmeister's daddy, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who brought Sullivan here to Atlanta to help local ministers understand the model. Later, after ML's death, it subsequently became SCLC's Operation Breadbasket. I learned it from him directly my entire life. Sullivan's message is not complicated. It's simple. Let me give it to you. Our faith must affect where we work. Our faith must affect where we spend. Our faith must affect who receives opportunity. And our faith must affect whether the next generation has an economic future. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. Save little wretched nappy-headed West African North Philadelphia boy like me. She applied that same covenant logic to education. Don't merely tell people They have a purpose. Give them what they need to grow, develop, and manifest it. Don't just preach about their promise. Build the educational structure through which that promise can be developed. That's the mini university model. That's what Yolanda morphed. She didn't create Urban Success University as an isolated program. She consolidated an intergenerational inheritance. She gathered the educational, the cultural, the political, the technological, entrepreneurial, and artistic work of our mothers. And she combined it into one environment, that's all you could call it, through which urban youth could discover and develop their gifts. That inheritance included the youth development and leadership traditions associated with all of our mothers. Dexter's funeral, Martin Luther King III said, we're going to acknowledge all the mamas who built this. He has a little Yolanda. Not Yolanda Denise King, that's Yoki 1.0. He got Yolanda Renee King, that's Yoki 2.0. But Urban Success University is what Yolanda Denise King built to represent what he spoke of. The leadership traditions of his mother, Coretta Scott King, founder of the King Center. Cynthia Dolores Nottage Tucker, whom she gave the Legacy Award to in 1988, who founded the Martin Luther King Jr. Association in Philadelphia next year in 1989. Rosa and Raymond Parks. Shirley Chisholm. We're going to talk about the National Political Congress of Black Women in a minute and how that legacy inspires our daughters. Dr. E.S. Beasy, Edith Scott Bagley, Amazing Grace Banks Sullivan, Marion Grace Agundi. HU, you know about our mama ethics. Andrea Dash Gray, mixed with the Scott Women's Creative Arts tradition. In essence, the youth and community development work emerging from us as a generation of Black church children. Cynthia Dolores Nottage Tucker, C. Dolores Tucker, like y'all call her, but born Cynthia Dolores Nottage. That's Whitfield Nottage and Capilda Nottage's daughter, founders of Ebenezer Community Chapel, 19th and Susquehanna. This iconic woman of God was not merely a critic of popular culture. She wanted against hip hop, us having a platform to culturally express ourselves. She wanted us to understand the power of our words. You know how life and death is in the power of our tongue? How any circumstance and situation we agree with, we can speak more of it and give life to. Any circumstance and situation we disagree with, we can speak death to. And so we were talking about, excuse me, but bitches ain't shit but O's and tricks, licking on nuts and sucking a dick. And now our daughters have to launch a brains over boobs movement, combating the over-sexualized culture, the over objectifying culture. And we got to go back to showing them through the heritage and legacy of our mothers that their brains are the most powerful and potentially profitable God-given asset, not their boobs. Daughters, brains over boobs movement. One of the things that Cynthia Dolores Nottage Tucker wanted all of us to understand, wanted all future urban youth to understand, is the real story of her and Rosa Louise Macaulay Parks, October 2022. Soleil's, Lonnie Macaulay Rosa's nephew, launched the Real Rebellious Rosa Parks on Peacock, telling the real story. My students, my geniuses, watching that, talking about, ooh, Rosa was a real one. Yeah, she was. Cynthia Dolores Nottage Tucker was a real one. A political pioneer, civil rights leader. She was the convening founder of the National Political Congress of Black Women, with Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm serving as the first elected national chair. Mama Chisholm did. These women ascended 20 years ago Mama Chisholm, January of '05. Mama Nottage. We're going to talk about Mama Rosa, October of '05. 20 years. Ain't nobody said a mumbling word. We got to talk about the women that put the work in because of how their legacies empower our sisters and our daughters. The National Political Congress of Black Women, that organization was established to advance the political, educational, economic, entrepreneurial, and cultural development of Black women and their families. The empowerment of our daughters wasn't a side issue within that organization's movement. It was central to the assignment. Our mothers made sure to make me understand that and to keep central that Black girls need more than protection from what's wrong in the culture. They need access to knowledge, technology, capital, relationships, open creative expression, entrepreneurial and economic opportunity. All the ingredients required to help them shape and reshape their positive culture. Talk about Rosa Louise Macaulay Parks. Her work, the Rosa and Raymond Parks Personal Development Institute, carried forward a covenantal commitment to the character, dignity, personal development of young Black women and children, especially young Black girls. Auntie Marion H.U., you know. Marion Gray Segundi. She, architect. The physical physician's accountability to not just diagnosing an individual diseased, but treating them as an individual. Yeah, she made sure as the granddaughter of William Herbert Gray, the daughter of William Herbert Gray Jr., the big boss sister of your pastor, your congressman, your Black whip, a Congress chairman in Mount Eagle College Fund, William Herbert Gray III, my spiritual second pops. Yeah, to make sure that all those ethics from the physical doctor apply to the spiritual doctor, reverend doctors, pastors, bishops, apostles, all that. Don't forget my spiritual mama, her prophetic bestie. I could talk about Leon Howard Sullivan. I could talk about William Herbert Gray III. Put them to the side for a moment. We talking about amazing Grace Banks Sullivan and Andrea the Dash Gray. See, amazing Grace, how you calling the stack of Bibles? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Mama Grace, why I gotta go Jesus? Ooh, little king, you ask all the right questions. Baby, you're gonna go through some places where the only name you're gonna be able to call on is the name of the Lord. Okay, that's a good one. Mama Grace, can I go play with other kids? No. Mama Grace, why I can't go play with other kids? Baby, you never gonna fit in because God created you to stand out. Oh, okay. Now, in the basement of the Bright Hope Baptist Church, let me tell you what the Dash got. The basketball court right in her living room. Before we can start playing ball, right? We gotta wait till Mama and them feed the community. Okay? Then we gotta put up all the chairs and tables and all that. And then we get the key to the ball closet. But see, Mama Dash, all them Maxwell locks look the same till she switch it. And the key that Herbie gave us, that's in my bottom of my sneaker, it don't work. Oh, what's them things Herbie be having y'all do? Not suicides. Jesus. So Jesus. You don't know nothing about being in the basement of the Bright Hope Baptist Church running the Dash. Andrea, the Dash Gray. Listen, Miss IBM herself, Miss Technology herself. Look, she took my Vectrex. I ain't even know what I did or who I got to do whatever. And gave me my first MacBook Plus. Yeah, she knew technology would be the great equalizer. She brought technological learning into youth development mission. Then we got Dr. E.S. Beasley, Edith Scott Bagley, my hip hop hermeneutics professor, everybody's speech coach, right? She carried scholarship, literature, theater, education, cultural expression. She earned a whole bunch of degrees. Our mamas had more degrees than a thermometer. English, fine arts, taught in a whole bunch of colleges. She established the entire creative arts department at Cheney, like Yolanda created at the King Center in 1982. Dr. E.S. Beatty, Edith Scott Bagley, she taught us that the arts are not decoration. She instilled in us that creative arts help young people interpret the world, discover their voices, preserve their history, and communicate the truth. Now, the Yokemeister, how do you describe that? Like, prophetic, artistically apostolic, Christ-centeredly creative. You know, in Atlanta, y'all call her Yoki. And I'm learning more about this person y'all call Yolanda. There's no words to articulate my prophetic big sister. You know, she saved my life. Physically, spiritually. She positioned me as a dean. The reason I articulate to you what that means is because she told me, you gonna be my dean. And I remember going to the dean, Reverend Dr. Henry Mitchell, wrote the book on African American preaching, father of the Heritage Horizon transition, father of our development as young prophetic proclaimers. And I said, she called me you and said I'd be her you. What does that mean? I don't think there are words that can describe Yolanda Denise King. And so I feel like I need to move along as, yeah. But I'm not going to hide this reverence that we have for her. She was our fathers, Sully, Herbie's, Joe's, John, Leroy's prophetic princess. She was the Yokemeister. She inherited all of this and somehow encapsulated it. The creative and cultural discipline, more degrees than a thermometer, theater, very, very passionate about African heritage and African American studies. Prophetically expressed as an actress, producer, a playwright. She directed the cultural affairs for her mother's King Center. When speaking of her father, Yolanda and his work, Yolanda would say that the dream has to be dramatized. She would say that a dream that isn't dramatized can't be felt in the hearts of the next generation. And if it can't be felt in the hearts of the next generation, then then they'll never carry it. She was a prophetic professor, an amazing ministry mentor. She understood that some lessons couldn't be taught through a music sheet or a worksheet. She developed a framework called Living the Dream. She understood that some truths had to be performed. Some truths had to be embodied. Some wounds regardless of how painful, like Jesus with Thomas. Young King, put your hand right here. But genius, put your hand right here. She understood, like Christ, that some some wounds are teaching lessons. They have to, regardless of how painful, they have to be performed through theater, through music, through movement, through storytelling, all of which are art. Yeah, I feel what the alumni and the supporters of Urban Success University feel beginning this school year, not publicly being able to honor her last public performance, the 2007 King Holiday. And I've read your emails, and I want to thank you. Many of you were there when she froze that 2007 holiday. Maybe you heard about it. And for whatever reason, she made me introduce her. And 5 months later, she ascended. We gonna celebrate her 20-year anniversary of her last public performance. Rather we get to watch it or not. And we're gonna celebrate the 20-year ascension of her life. Rather we get supported or not. Her father, Martin Luther King Jr., said, silence in certain pivotal moments is betrayal. And I cannot betray the covenantal responsibility that Yolanda, her mother, and our mothers entrusted to me. So we oftentimes practically apply pericopes. We are a Joshua generation, and 2 Timothy, the second chapter, tells us we have to be strong in grace, God's amazing grace. Not the the Amplified Bible Dictionary, not God's unmerited favor. No, we strong over here. Strong's New Testament Bible Dictionary, Strong's Concordance, New Testament Dictionary definition of grace is the divine influence upon your heart that needs to get reflective in your life. I'm not going to get into a teaching moment. I am your dean. We talk about the regenerated heart. Solomon talked about your heart. He says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he will become. Bible was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. Those are African, Asiatic, extremely expressive languages that predate the development, domination, and existence of the English language and empire by at least 1,000 years. Each of those words in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic can carry entire worlds where English is somewhat shallow. And so when we hear what Solomon tells us about our heart, that as a man thinks in his heart, you will become, it doesn't connect. Because based on the English language, you think in your brain, you pump blood in your heart. What is this Solomon's talking about? Solomon says that as a man thinks in his heart, your inner being, your cardia. Mama and them called it your shanana. Real quick, you're not a physical being having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being having a physical experience. God pulled you from himself and encapsulated you in a dirt shell. Told Jeremiah, it's applicable to you. I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Your mother and your daddy were not the first to see you. See, God creates us in his image. He creates us in his likeness. Then he gives us dominion and authority. It means that there is something in the earth that God has created each of us to do. And it's not until we can tap into the practical application of his word and how it's speaking to our individual lives that we can accomplish that assignment. That's the divine influence upon your heart that needs to get reflective in your life. That is in essence God doing something in you, doing something in me that needs to permeate through our pores. That's the center message of Urban Success University. That's what came out of Amazing Grace in the Yokemeister. They brought together leadership development, personal development, technology, creative arts, cultural expression, education, nonviolence, and entrepreneurship. Urban Success University, that just became the container of the morphing of the mini university model. Me. I was chosen by God for such a time like this, positioned by our mamas as dean. Now, when I talk to you about hip hop hermeneutics and it belonging at the center of the university, it's because the message of the Messiah is the same, but the messaging has to change. It has to shift, right? See, Yolanda called it edutainment, education and entertainment. Okay, throw a little bit of ESBZ in the mix, and we refer to it as hip hop hermeneutics. It's not an entertainment break inside of our curriculum. It's a part of our educational methodology. Hermeneutics is, if you don't know, the discipline of interpretation, right? Like there's homiletics. That's what you learned in the colonizer classroom in the slave master seminary. That's what you get, and it's an outline. It's a problem. It's an introduction. It's a context. It's a solution. Fake asthmatic. Let me get an A flat. We out of here. Then it's hermeneutics. That's the gift. We're looking at what God said, when God said, what God said, to whom God was saying it to. And we extract that, the principles, the concepts, the precepts of God. We suspend them in midair, and then we analyze them from a myriad of different perspectives in order to find one that is inspiring, find one that is empowering, find one that is motivating, that provides motive for action for us to press on and press through whatever circumstance and situation that we are encountering in order to fulfill the assignment that God has placed on our lives. Now, hip hop, good googly moo. All right, like no way to really explain that. It's not a music, it's a lifestyle, it's a culture. Um, Shout out to Nas and Ninth Wonder up there at Harvard with hip hop at Harvard. But notice, we as a people aren't studying hip hop. Harvard is. Why are them folks studying our culture? Because they're always trying to emulate and steal and rob our culture. So when I introduce hip hop hermeneutics, in essence, it's asking this question: how is it that we take history, economics, technology, politics, entrepreneurship, and interpret them in the language of the generation that must use them? How do we, theological scholars, community builders, organizational leaders, elders, how do we bring the culture back to the covenant while bringing the covenant into conversation with the culture? How, how do we teach students to critically examine the message, identify what's been omitted, confront distorted narratives, and then produce a truthful interpretation of their own lives and communities? We use hip hop and hermeneutics. We use certain points of hip hop, like the DJ take, not the digital stuff, but I'm talking about my vinyl warriors. Take two pieces of vinyl, put them on the ones and twos, and make them effortlessly blend. So in essence, what hip hop hermeneutics does is it takes the rough, rugged rawness of our reality and mixes it with the um, pure prophetic power of the pericopes. Like hip hop teaches sampling. And so we teach young people how to identify the original source. Hip hop teaches remixing. And so, as the dean, I strive to teach the next generation how to reorganize inherited knowledge in a way that they're able to utilize it to solve present problems. Now, don't run from confrontation, because hip hop teaches battling. Teach them how to defend an idea, challenge an assumption, build an argument, and simultaneously strengthen their presentation and presentation skills. Hip hop is really the core of the black church experience, because hip hop teaches storytelling. And so we teach different types of storytelling, not just murder on the corner storytelling, not just let me rob you storytelling, not just let me express myself through violence storytelling, but can we teach some business storytelling, some positive community storytelling, some brand development storytelling? How about the preservation of our elder business entrepreneur storytelling, or our mother's legacy and history storytelling? Well, one thing that hip hop teaches is you got to own it. 10 toes down in this thing. And so hip hop teaches ownership. As a dean, I'm striving to teach our students and past alumni still tapped in, adults through the Kingdom Classroom, how to protect their intellectual property, how to develop their platforms, how to transform their creativity into economic entrepreneurial value. That's hip hop hermeneutics, defined by I as your dean. It's creative arts, it's and entrepreneurship, not separated, because They belong together. Because our youth, our students must learn not only how to consume culture, but how to interpret, produce, own, and economically and entrepreneurially benefit from culture. That's the educational inheritance that I received from Edith Scott Bagley and the Yolkmeister, Yolanda Denise King, operating inside of the 21st century mini university model. That's what our mamas gave me. Now we can talk about our fathers, Sully, Herbie, Mr. Chicago, Jersey Joe, Reverend Dr. Leon Howard Sullivan, Reverend Dr. William Herbert Gray, and Reverend Dr. Joseph Lawrence Roberts Jr. They didn't prepare me, as you can tell, merely to preach sermons. I was prepared to build upon their architecture. They gave the blueprint. I'm building it out. Our children are inheriting it. That's the gist of this address. They positioned me to learn the systems. It's an acronym: Save Yourself, Stress, Time, Energy, and Money. 1999. Walked me into 3340 Peachtree, Atlanta, Georgia, into the entrepreneurial development environment connected to Fran Tarkenton. Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame entrepreneur, right? Really the father of entrepreneurial development in this generation. They placed me behind the curtain to give me exposure to the ecosystem surrounding Targeting.com, surrounding Go Small Biz, and its partnership with Harlan Stone Cipher and Prepaid Legal. To understand software, to understand business development, all the stuff that Fran had developed in KnowledgeWare. You ain't know? KnowledgeWare was a significant worldwide software company based out of Atlanta. Fran built from the dirt and sold in '94. See, all of that stuff mattered to my individual development. Not for me to jump out here as the founder of a company. It mattered for the development of an ecosystem. I was positioned to learn how business education, software, sales, communications, direct marketing, professional services, entrepreneurial relationships, and technology could, should, and would work more efficiently together. I learned through helping launch and support business ventures. I learned through Go Small Biz. I learned through the mentorship of Fran. I learned digital marketing. I learned through direct sales and network marketing companies and consulting them behind the scenes. I learned through business interviewing. I learned through entrepreneurial development and discovery. I learned through having my hands in dirt, seeing how entrepreneurial development information could be organized, packaged, communicated, and transformed into a service. Now, our elders, they placed me behind the curtain because they expected me to learn enough to build something for our community in the technological times that we found ourselves in. They had confidence in me when I was still a young adult. They trusted the gift before the institution and ecosystem existed. Recognized the assignment before the public could see the finished structure. That trust changed my life. Today, I'm asking our community to extend that same confidence into the next generation. They can handle this. Same way I was positioned 27 years ago, I got us here. Our youth and young adults are positioned to take us through the next 5 to 10 years, and we will miss if we don't maximize the moment of this ministry launch. 2007, it's a tearjerker. We lost the Yolkmeister. But it's also the year that Reverend Joseph Lawrence Roberts Jr. and William Herbert Gray III took us to the next level. Helped broker the relationship, connected us to the printing operation, let's call it that, through which we began producing these church and community business directories. Let's call them networks from this point forward. And the goal was never to become one giant directory. The goal was never to become another list of NAPs, name, addresses, and phone numbers. Those printed publications, they were an early container of a much larger prophetic vision. We were in the beginning stages of identify, connect, equip to transform. We were identifying our businesses, identifying our nonprofits, identifying our ministries. We were organizing relationships. We were documenting our entrepreneurial, economic, and ministry gifts within the church and immediate communities. We were connecting congregations and entrepreneurs. We were beginning to teach select patronage in a form that people could see and practically utilize. The long-term objective was always to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem similar to the environment that Sully, Gray, and Joe placed me behind the curtain to study. I'm beyond the non-competes. I'm beyond the non-disclosures. 40 days to the 40-year anniversary of me being licensed to give good news to the least of these. I got to be transparent. I hope you don't mind. Now, across 14 states, we eventually produced over 46 of those church and community business directories, publications, networks. We're talking about Georgia right now. Because in Georgia, we developed 46 individual church and community business relationship networks involving over 8,200 businesses, ministries, and nonprofit organizations. I want each and every single one of you to understand that the publications were never to be the final product. They were the database before we had the technology to build the complete ecosystem. They were the seeds. The Kingdom Marketplace is the harvest. The Kingdom Marketplace is not a directory. I need to make that unmistakably clear. The directory era is over. The old search era is over. Traditional search engine optimization is no longer sufficient by itself. Customers aren't typing keywords and selecting from blue links. Where they do that at? They're asking AI-powered systems, hey, who should I hire? What business can solve this problem? Who serves my city? What company understands my particular need? What local business is credible? What faith-based business can I trust? What Black-owned business is credible? What faith-based entrepreneur or creative has the required experience I need? In essence, AI, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. Who should I trust? 5 years ago, just about, a little bit over, I guess, I suppose. November 4th, 2021, Google formally announced the transition from Google My Business to Google Business Profiles. On May 19th, 2026, Google described its new AI-powered search experience. Listen to me. As the biggest search upgrade in more than 25 years. It's now integrating advanced AI and recommendation agent capabilities inside of its search. Now, y'all got to understand that shift represents more than a digital marketing trend. November 21, They shifted it number one and number two determinants of ranking from AdWord keyword to relevancy of search, specific geographic location. How does Google know if you're relevant to search? Your business description, your product description, your service description, your event description, because that's what talks about who you are, what you do, and how you do what you do the way you do it. How else would they know you relevant to what someone's searching for? That was 4 years ago. We got crickets. Now, the question is no longer, can we rank you? The question is, can we recommend you? New game, new rules. Yeah. Old question, can a search engine locate my website? You notice how fast AI is spitting out all these websites? Website don't really matter too much no more. New question, new rules. Can these AI recommendation systems, can they understand your business well enough to consider you when someone asks for a recommendation? That's why our businesses and our community need more than keywords. Because AI needs more than keywords. It needs contextual clarity. Needs to understand who the business is, what the business does, who it serves, what problem it solves, what products or services it provides, where it operates, what makes it distinctive, what experience it possesses, what evidence supports its claim, and under what circumstances should it be recommended. That's a new term you're going to hear a lot more of, called generative engine optimization. That's in essence what our proprietary engine, AI Smart Matching, does. That's the work of creating a category pillar. You're going to hear this term a lot more. See, the Kingdom Marketplace, I said, isn't a directory. It's the future, but it's here in the present. It's a social entrepreneurial enterprise ministry. All right? Its platform, the kingdommarketplace.com, is the world's first AI-powered, generative engine optimized entrepreneurial ecosystem. AI-powered Kingdom Business Referral Network. It is the digital resurrection of Progress Plaza. Now, Progress Plaza brought Black businesses together in a physical space. The Kingdom Marketplace brings businesses together in digital structure, education, referrals, economic entrepreneurial relationships, and community experiences. Progress Plaza was so much more than real estate. It represented the belief that our community deserved an economic entrepreneurial center. The Kingdom Marketplace carries that belief into the AI recommendation economy. Urban Success University, I hope I have articulated and communicated that it is mini university. The Kingdom Marketplace is the digital Progress Plaza. Urban Success University, at this stage, prepares our people. The Kingdom Marketplace, as it's been designed, it gives our people a place to practice, produce, serve, and generate income in their purpose in God. The marketplace is going to include much more than just profiles. It, through the profiles and additional stuff that's going to be released, it's going to bless your life, your business life, for the rest of your business life. It creates opportunities for business education, generative engine optimization training, Kingdom business referrals, professional networking, pop-up shops, post your products and your services, because we're going to have product showcases, we're going to have service showcases, we're going to have community event showcases, marketplace demonstrations, business interviews, entrepreneurial storytelling, digital marketing, education, young and youth, field experience. And so, you know, there's no financial decision no financial requirement to participate. Let me say this like the old church would, should, and as we should today. Whoever will, come on, come on, come on. We're inviting entrepreneurs. We're inviting nonprofits. We're inviting ministries. We're inviting God's business believers to showcase your gifts. Show us what you make. Show us what you sell. Show us what you teach. Show us what you communicate. Show us whom you serve. Show us the problem God has equipped you to solve. Come on. Come on. Bring your products. Bring your services. Bring your events. Bring your ministry. Bring your nonprofit. Bring your business testimony. Yeah, I said it. Bring your business story. We want to hear about it over here. Bring your gift to the marketplace. In the Kingdom Marketplace, we're a ministry, social entrepreneurial enterprise ministry. We don't separate business and ministry. We use business for ministry. We're designed to meet two urgent needs, simultaneous. This, back to school blitz, this, Black Business Month, this. 2026-2027 school year. Number one, our businesses need affordable professional assistance in understanding generative engine optimization and becoming AI readable, digitally structured, and more recommendable in these AI powered recommendation streets, because the AI is not a gatekeeper to our coin. Number two, our young adults, especially our daughters, they need income, practical experience, applying what they've been studying for the past 3.5, 4 years. They need equipment, need to develop their professional portfolios. They need some professional references and some meaningful opportunities to apply what they've been learning. The digital services our businesses should have been acquiring since COVID are now, not accidentally, not coincidentally, in my opinion, professionally, intentionally priced beyond their reach. To develop the deliverables they need to get a complete professional package, they'd be making separate payments for business strategy. Let's talk about what goes into this. Customer discovery, copywriting, search engine optimization, generative engine optimization, social media marketing, website development, business profile management, local geographic optimization, reputation development, AI visibility, content development, database management, sales and effective online outreach. Yeah, it costs a coin. Guess what? We got young adults. I'm talking about my geniuses. They're primarily like 19 to about 28. They've studied these individual skills, and the skill set that they've developed make this work possible. I hesitate to call them merely students because they're emerging generative engine optimization professionals. Now they come from different high schools, different colleges, different churches, different life experiences, but they've been brought together through Urban Success University. And as their dean, I can attest that they have studied, they have practiced, they have served, and they're ready to deliver. Now, we don't have a budget. We don't have grants. There's a lot of people who profit off of you not having the work and education this ministry provides. So, unfortunately, being transparent, we don't even have funding for a permanent facility. We don't have a marketing budget. Some of our students, they don't even have laptops. No, we don't have the cameras the AV equipment that we need for the interviews right now. We had it. A lot of stuff got stolen. No, we also don't have corporate backing. We don't currently have a large Atlanta church underwriting our work. We got thrown out of the one we've grown and developed in. But y'all been reading the Bibles? Hosea 4:6. My God didn't say my people perish due to a lack of a grant, due to a lack of equipment. God said my people perish due to a lack of knowledge. And guess what? We got the knowledge. We got the curriculum. We got the relationships. We got the history. We have the understanding of technology. We even got 46 directories with 8,200 folk in them. They ain't nobody cared enough to check on. We got the businesses that need the assistance. And God has used us to prepare the young adults who need the opportunity to earn. So we're combining those two assets. The businesses that need the assistance and the youth that need the work in order to solve a major community problem. That's called social entrepreneurship. That's called enterprise ministry. And we're beginning in Georgia with the Georgia Kingdom Business Cluster. Back to School Blitz, we in it. Black Business Month begins in 10 days. We're reconnecting the businesses associated with our 46 church and community business networks, consolidating them into the first statewide AI readable entrepreneurial ecosystem cluster, calling them personally, inviting each business, each nonprofit, each ministry to receive complimentary. That means free. Y'all know what y'all say, free for me. AI Smart Matching Profile. The young adults, Virginia Urban University, they're taking those interviews. They're researching their services. They're organizing that information and developing clearer business language that'll help the business better establish their business identity, help them understand their proper business category, put into perspective their customer audience, adequately position their products and services, their geographic service area, their business history, their founder story, their specialties, the trust as evidence that these AI recommendation agents need, positioning them all, us all, with better referral opportunities amongst ourselves and via the AI recommendation agents. That's what AI Smart Matching Profile does, and that's why it's being provided without an implementation charge during this campaign. After the young adults do the work, businesses, you're going to love it. Give them a little tip. They did it, the work, not because it has no value. That's not why they did it for free. They did it because the ministry they're a part of launching has made it accessible for you. So a little tip, whatever's on your heart. Tells a young adult, I see that work. Respect your time and recognize your skill. What you produced is valuable for my business, and I see your contribution to our business community, and for me it matters. I won't talk about the economic circumstances, situations a lot of them are going through, but your tip matters. Now, for those of you that are hearing what I'm talking about, ready to go further, we're seeking 100 founding category pillar case studies. I need you to understand this isn't a premium listing. This is a case study participation. It's a structured position built around the business's category, their audience, their specialization, their geography, their experience, their evidence, their authority, and their referral relationships. The first businesses are helping the Begeniuses of Urban Success University prove their generative engine optimization AI recommendation model. You're allowing the young adults to build their professional portfolios. You're giving them, us, real businesses through which I can teach the impact of proper generative engine optimization throughout the fall. So a lot of what they're building for you throughout the remainder of the summer, I'll be pointing to in the fall, showing businesses, chamber of commerce, business associations, what was done and why it was done, allowing you even more traction and exposure for your business, ministry, and nonprofit. You're helping to establish the initial categories and geographic relationships inside of the Kingdom Marketplace. No, you can't just click and be there. You can't. No, no. At least you have to take the time to fill out the Google form. And if you're not willing to take the time to fill out that Google form, then you're not really looking to receive the work that the daughters are putting in, nor are you respecting it. Okay? If you decide to be a category pillar, you can click upgrade implementation. Along with that investment in them comes them calling you and obtaining the information or obtaining it online. Everybody is not a Dr. Erica Campbell, because of everything she does with the way doctor is just so explosive and so empowering and educational for the daughters. They just went in. Share your story, your testimony, and let it inspire them as well. And so during this founding case study period, the qualifying businesses that can begin category pillar implementation at dramatically reduced rates. Y'all are beginning this at a one-time implementation investment of like $250. All right. You are receiving much more than future participants because you're doing more than purchasing a service. You're helping us establish this ministry. I want to stress that, and I want to thank you for that. And so for that, we are always going to showcase you. For that, we're always going to feature your stories. For that, we're always going to celebrate your accomplishments. And for that, we're always going to connect you as our founding category pillars with other businesses. And so we want to invite you into these educational experiences, these networking events, these pop-up opportunities. And I want you to know that we're going to use your profiles as real-world case studies throughout the entire fall semester, beginning with the full launch, August 31st. We're going to implement annual marketplace investments to receive category pillarship and above. Those annual and lifetime costs, they're to sustain the technology, the business support, the youth adult pipeline, and in the amazing Grace Bank Sullivan Entrepreneurial Academy, we are placing our youth in businesses. $250, $150 goes to the Secretary of State to register the LLC, $100 in a business bank account. All right. And so the annual investment is going to be used for that and additional microloans, so forth and so on. It's going to support active participation in this living entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now, this is the work of our 2026-27 school year. The amazing Grace Bank Sullivan Entrepreneurial Academy is going to use these businesses and our category pillars as the living classroom. It's going to go in sync with the Kingdom Classroom. Our young adults and participating entrepreneurs are going to walk through business interviewing, entrepreneurial discovery, entrepreneurship, small business models, customer and audience development, copyrights, and business storytelling. You're going to learn search engine optimization, what's left of it, right? Or what remains useful. All right, you're gonna learn artificial intelligence, prompt development. I'm gonna give you my personally curated 101 Kingdom Business AI prompts. Help you develop the Kingdom Business Operating System. Everything from identifying your ideal avatar to your marketing campaign. Gonna teach you generative engine optimization. All right, local business geography establishment, business and community history, community economic development, digital evidence and trust development, sales outreach, how to develop your presentations, client service, professional ethics, portfolio development, field experience, marketplace participation, referral ecosystem development, all of that, all of that. You're going to get all that. And business owners, you're not simply going to receive this profile and be abandoned. You're going to get accessibility. We're going to teach you how to use it, teach you how to expand your content, teach you how to tell your business story more effectively, teach you how to more effectively publish your gifts, your services, your products, your events. That's why you want these lifetime profiles. So you never have to, you forever post your products, services, events, blogs. Learn you how to establish these trust authority, how to create this stronger digital evidence, how to build better digital referral relationships, teach you how to participate profitably in the AI recommendation economy. Now, it took us 40 years to get here. This ain't been easy. All right? August 31st marks the 40-year anniversary. Well, not really. It was August 30th. But he didn't give me the piece of paper until Monday morning in his office. So I ain't really know what Sunday was about. I just thought he was putting me up to talk and folk were clapping, talking about that's king. Yeah, all right, whatever. But he gave me this piece of paper that licensed me to preach, powerfully, prophetically teach, give good news to the poor. It's been 27 years since he walked me to the entrepreneurial, technological development environment that would help me prepare to provide you with this work. It's been 19 years since we lost Yolanda. 20 years since we lost Coretta. 21 since we lost Mama Shirley, Mama Cynthia, Mama Rose. We ain't lose the assignment. National Political Congress of Black women's commitment to political, economic, entrepreneurial, education, and the cultural development of our children, our daughters, our sons didn't die. The educational vision of Amazing Grace Banks Sullivan's didn't die. Creative arts inheritance of Edith Scott Bagley and Yolanda Denise King didn't die. The economic ministry of Leon Howard Sullivan, sure enough, didn't die. The leadership discipline of William Herbert Gray III didn't die. And the pastoral confidence and shepherding mentorship of Joseph Lawrence Roberts Jr. didn't die. The work continued to grow. It matured, moved from paper to platforms, from directories to data, from search to recommendation. It moved from a summer program to an after-school program. Well, we're here now. Moved from printed paper publications to an AI-powered generative engine optimized entrepreneurial ecosystem. Moved from something that elders could only describe into something our next generation has built. And so, as we launch independently as a social entrepreneurial enterprise ministry, I want to say, as our dean and chairman, we would welcome and honor the support of Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. We would reverence and honor the support of Ebenezer Baptist Church. We would reverence and honor the support of Reverend Bernice King. We would reverence and honor the support of the King Center. We ain't got nothing to do with King Ink, though. We reverence and honor the support of every institution connected to this our history. Welcome, honor, reverence the support of the Drum Major Institute. This work doesn't compete with anyone, and it does not diminish anyone. It does not require another organization to surrender its identity or its programming. It meets a need that's presently going unmet. Our businesses need to be connected, they need to be educated, they need to be empowered, they need to become AI readable. Our young adults need a mentoring, entrepreneurial, educational, and economic opportunity. Our community needs an entrepreneurial infrastructure capable of connecting our gifts, technology, education, and producing referrals. W.E.B. Du Bois, over 100 years ago in a Negro in business, said nothing, zero, zip, nada, nothing positive can ever take place in a community that fails to recirculate its dollar. It's impossible for us to recirculate our dollar in our community if we don't know who the business in our community are. At the Kingdom Marketplace, there's room for every church, every organization, every corporation, every community partner willing to support this mission. And so I'm asking you to join me in extending the same trust, mentorship, investment in the next generation that our parents invested in me, and I'm sure they invested in you. That we stop looking at them as those kids, and that we as the business owners, we as the leaders, we as the community come together and say, you know what? I'm going to support our youth, and I want to be showcased as one of the first businesses supporting our youth, because what we're reinstituting is select patronage, not Operation Breadbasket. A boycott doesn't do anything for us, y'all. Have you noticed? Withdrawing our support from somebody else's economy doesn't build ours. We need select patronage. But before we can withdraw our economic support from them, we got to be able to redirect it to us. But we can't redirect it to us if we don't have one place where we all are. We're scattered all over the internet, scattered over here, scattered over there. One place, everybody come together. What's your gift? And when we busy, we ain't got time to chase these algorithms and all this other stuff. Our youth do. And we can provide a viable pipeline for our high school urban daughters, our young single mamas. At the same time, we support our business community. I make the first sacrifice, so join me. Let's extend this confidence into our next generation. It worked for me. See, through the trust of the elders, I was placed in rooms I daggone sure didn't earn to be in by conventional standards. It exposed me to systems I didn't yet own, gave me an opportunity to learn, but before the entire vision was made visible. Let's do that. See, the elders, like we are now, they believe that what God had allowed them to acquire needed to be invested in the next generation so they could serve the generation after them like we are. And I ain't the best in the world. I ain't the worst either. You know, thank God I ain't what I used to be, but I'm pressing on to what I ought to be. Look at where God has brought me. Look at where he brought you. Look at where he brought us. Look at what that confidence in the generation before has done for us. Now, I got these same confidence in the next generation. And I'm attesting. They're ready. They may not have every traditional credential. In the AI era, there really aren't any. They may not have come from wealthy families, may not have corporate sponsors, they may not have polished offices, but they've put the work in. They've learned, they've served, they've developed the skills, they understand the technology, they understand the culture, they understand their community, and they're prepared to help our businesses enter the AI recommendation economy. I'm asking you as a ministry leader, I'm asking you as a business owner, I'm asking you as a nonprofit leader, asking you as our community to support them. Allow them to interview your business. Allow them to build your AI smart matching profile. Allow them to assist you with clarifying your products and services to the AI recommendation era. Allow them to help you tell your story. Allow them to make your business more AI readable. And when they serve you, because they're going to serve you well, tip them well. We need deeper implementation. Hire them, maybe not at these introductory rates, but at to assist you in the category pillar process. If you got some extra equipment, old laptop, good iPhone, please donate it. Got an extra laptop, please. You want to sponsor some Wi-Fi connectivity? Thank you. If you got some workspace and you can make it available, be greatly appreciated. If you got some knowledge, many of you do, would you teach it? Got some contracts for them? Open the door. Got some influence? Introduce them. If you got some resources, want to sow some seed in some good soil, invest, donate. Put an economic entrepreneurial opportunity in their hands. Now, I'm a little unorthodox. So was the Lion of Zion of that generation, for God gave you this one. Leon Howard Sullivan. Ask Mama Mabel. Mabel Wellborn, chairperson of the Leon Sullivan Trust. He was an unorthodox preacher. So, what thou seest, thou becometh. He raised me to be an unorthodox preacher. Dean Mitchell and Mama Mitchell, Ellen Mitchell, spoke in Union Theological Seminary in 1940 and 41, said preaching ain't just words, okay? It's powerfully prophetic teaching. Let me tell you, I ain't done teaching yet. But I'm finished with the talk. Sully left the pulpit. I'm out. Partner with Vaps. Partner with Juan. Juan is now Bishop Madero. Turned 627 West Clearfield. That's the biggest dope corner of the 90s of the Badlands, North Philadelphia. Turned it into the sanctuary in 2012 for the prison ministry, took behind the wall in 2007. Shout out to Rochelle Bilal, Philadelphia sheriff, partnered with the sheriff department, taking away 3,000 pounds of food. Shout out to Fitz, Sergeant Christopher Fitzgerald, Philadelphia sheriffs, Philadelphia, or Temple University, first officer to get murked in the line of doozy. Believing soldier Chris went to the general of the Believing Soldier Battalion. Walking away because ministry ain't just standing in the pulpit. The mic is cool. You know what I love? I love the dry erase board. I'm a teacher. That's what ministry is for me. It's always been a ball court, always been a classroom, always been after school, always been a summer program, always been in places where nobody was willing to go. That's how God uses me, doing the stuff that nobody's willing to do. Ministry for me is entering the trenches where people are hurting and building what they need. Ministry for me is helping a business survive. Ministry is teaching an entrepreneur how to communicate their value. Ministry is helping a young adult earn honest income. Ministry is placing technology in the hands of someone who has been excluded. Ministry is developing the gifts that God placed inside of our children. Ministry is organizing our purchasing power. Ministry is creating referrals. Ministry is producing employment. Ministry is building economic infrastructure. Ministry is making sure our businesses are not digitally erased, but adequately represented, as well as recommended in the next technological economy. That's ministry to me. And as the dean and chair now of Urban Success University, that's what Urban Success University is. We're a social entrepreneurial enterprise ministry. We don't have grants. We're not underwritten by a church. We're not even supported by one. We are the church, right? We've been prosecuted, but we've persevered based on a prophetic promise of continuing what our mothers instilled into us, the way that our fathers prepared us. And so this my story. That's my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is not my ministry, but the work that God has given me. This is the amazing Grace Bank Sullivan Mini University model. The educational inheritance of Coretta Scott King. The educational, creative, artistic legacy of Edith Scott Bagley. The divine direction of the Yogemeister, Yolanda Denise King. It's the empowerment work of Cynthia Dolores Nottis Tucker. The political pioneering of Shirley Chisholm. It's the personal development spirit of Rosa and Raymond Parks. This is the technological preparation of Andrea Dash Gray. This is the ethical empowerment and divine discipline of Marion Grace Segundi. It's the economic and entrepreneurial ministry of Leon Howard Sullivan. It's the leadership investment of William Herbert Gray III. This is me popping my shiznits, standing 10 toes down in the pastoral confidence I received by laying on of hands by Reverend Dr. Joseph Lawrence Roberts Jr. This is hip-hop hermeneutics. This is generative engine optimization. This is the Georgia Kingdom Business Community Cluster. This is the Digital Resurrection of Progress Plaza. This is the Kingdom Marketplace. This is the assignment I spent the past 40 years of my life fulfilling. This is the dream I had at 6 at convocation. And Mama Grace and Mama Morris said, tell everybody. It was Richie Rich. I ain't want the money. I just wanted to impact my people. It's the Kingdom Marketplace, y'all. So bring your business, bring your ministry, bring your organization, bring your products, bring your services, bring your events, bring your creativity, bring your testimony, bring your history, but most importantly, bring your gifts. Let us make your work AI readable. Let us help you make your business, your nonprofit, your ministry more AI referable, more digitally clearable. Let us be used by God to get him the glory and you the back. Let's come together to create more income-producing opportunities for our young adults. Let's build the economic and educational ecosystem our community needs. Yolanda's father, Martin Luther King Jr., left us with a very profound question. He said, hey, y'all, where are we going from here? Chaos or community? We got enough chaos. How many folk want to join us in building community? Join us in demonstrating what becomes possible when one generation has enough faith to invest in the promise of the next. Listen, I'm your dean, I'm your chairman, I'm making myself no reputation. I'm somebody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can help everybody. Complete your profile on thekingdommarketplace.com. It's simple. Go to completeyourprofile.com. Support our businesses, support our young adults. Please support this ministry launch. Pray for me as I pray for you. We out of money, y'all. We've been out of financial resources for over a year. And so we're launching this way because this is what God demands. This is our state of Urban Success University. I am your dean. I want to thank you for the time that we shared today. I hope you, as I view it, as time invested and not time spent. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure and a privilege to serve you. Have an amazing day on purpose, and never forget that the Father made each and every single one of you amazing on purpose. God bless you.